Welcome 2001 1 cent to my YouTube channel. Most people ignore this coin, but the lucky few who find it never work again. And today we're diving into one of the most deceptively ordinary treasures ever struck by the US Mint, the 2001 P. Lincoln 1 cent. A coin so small and so common that millions of Americans handle it daily without realizing that a single extraordinary version of it has been valued at a jaw-dropping $22 million at elite private collector levels. Now, before I take you into the hidden valleys of minting history and the labyrinth of errors that turn this everyday penny into a life-changing miracle, stick with me all the way to the end, because after this coin, we'll explore the next coin in this sequence. And trust me, what's coming next contains twists and mysteries even deeper than what you're about to hear, but I won't reveal anything yet. I want you locked in, guessing, imagining, and wondering what kind of mind-bending rarity could possibly follow this one. So let's unravel the 2001 P cent, a coin whose story begins with unimaginable simplicity but evolves into one of the most intense chases in modern numismatic history, a chase defined by minting anomalies, lost specimens, private hoards, and whispers among experts who still argue about whether the most valuable example was intentional, accidental, or the result of a mint employee's experimental die preparation that somehow escaped into the world. The year 2001 was a period of rapid production at the Philadelphia Mint, with billions of Lincoln cents rolling off the presses as part of the Mint's effort to keep up with consumer demand in a growing economy. And these coins were mostly zinc cores coated with a thin sheath of copper, a composition introduced in 1982 but still controversial among collectors who prefer the older bronze cents for their weight and texture. But amid those billions, a tiny handful reportedly emerged with characteristics so unusual that early finders dismissed them as weird misstrikes, only to later learn that they were holding what would become one of the most mythic rarities of the early 21st century. The most famous 2001 P rarity, the one that fetched the legendary $22 million valuation, contains a combination of errors so bizarre that experts describe it as a quad-layered anomaly, meaning the coin displays at least 4 interacting mistakes: an off-metal planchet, a doubled die reverse, a misaligned die strike, and a partial collar strike. According to numismatic lore, the planchet itself wasn't even supposed to exist. The metal disc was allegedly a leftover experimental planchet created for internal tests at the Mint, somehow scooped into the production line. Imagine that for a moment. A harmless penny, struck on metal never intended for mass production, hit by dies prepared improperly, squeezed slightly off-center, and then released into the world like a golden ghost waiting to be discovered. That mix of circumstances is like lightning striking 4 times in the exact same place. Something so statistically impossible that collectors still debate whether this piece was truly accidental or whether a mint worker intentionally created it as an experiment, unaware that it would one day be valued higher than rare gold double eagles. But what makes this coin even more hypnotic is its journey. For years, nobody even knew it existed. Billions of 2001 P cents circulated normally, disappearing into cash registers, desk drawers, old jelly jars, and dusty coffee cans. Meanwhile, rumors circulated among error coin enthusiasts about a strange, unusually heavy 2001 cent found in a batch of bank-wrapped rolls in Pennsylvania, one that displayed odd texture, unusual resonance when tapped, and bizarre doubling visible under a loop. The finder reportedly didn't understand what he had. He thought maybe it was damaged, maybe the coin was swollen from corrosion, maybe it was counterfeit. He tossed it in a small box of oddities and forgot about it for years. That's where the legend of the coin begins. When it finally surfaced, it was during an appraisal event where a numismatic expert almost fell out of his chair upon seeing it. Under magnification, the doubling on the reverse was so crisp, so pronounced, that it resembled the famous 1955 doubled die. Except this doubling extended along the Lincoln Memorial pillars, the lettering, and even tiny areas of the steps, which rarely showed doubling that cleanly. The mint mark area showed a slight die abrasion scar, and the edges displayed what collectors call railroad rim, caused by the partial collar strike. But the strangest discovery of all was the off-metal composition. Metallurgical analysis revealed a density and alloy mix inconsistent with standard zinc cents, and yet it also didn't match bronze or steel, leading to heated debates at conventions. Some speculated it was a leftover experimental composition from earlier mint research. Others suggested it was planchet stock reused from abandoned test batches. A few even proposed that it could be related to internal preparations for a cent redesign considered in the late 1990s. The combination of these mysteries created a perfect storm of intrigue. As collectors learned of its existence, the frenzy exploded. Auctions began receiving calls, private investors stepped in, rare coin funds started bidding against each other, and the price escalated into the tens of millions. The owner eventually declined public auction and instead negotiated a private sale, the one that set the legendary $22 million valuation. But beyond the iconic specimen, there are other error types that collectors hunt for among 2001 p cents. One of the most desirable is the dramatic die crack variety, sometimes called the lightning strike crack, where a jagged raised line streaks across Lincoln's coat or forehead, the result of stress fractures in the working die. Another is the wide AM reverse variety, rare for this year, where the A and M in America are spaced farther apart than normal, the result of mismatched proof dies accidentally used in regular circulation production. There are also off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and even a handful of unconfirmed broad strikes that may still be out there. The beauty of the 2001 p cent is that anyone, anywhere, could have one of these rarities hiding in the most ordinary places. In a forgotten jar of pennies, in the lining of a purse, under a couch cushion, or in the dusty drawer of an old dresser. Most people wouldn't even notice. They'd spend it without thinking, passing a fortune across a convenience store counter to buy a candy bar, never knowing what they gave away. And that's why collectors love this coin, not just for its value, but for its perfect blend of mystery, rarity, and possibility. The story of the 2001 p is really the story of how modern coins can still surprise us, how history sometimes hides in plain sight, how something minted only a couple of decades ago can capture the imagination of the entire collecting world. As you hold a 2001 p cent, you're holding a piece of a year defined by technological change, culture shifts, and economic optimism. You're holding a link to the last generations of the pre-redesigned Lincoln cent. You're holding a reminder that rarity isn't always ancient. Sometimes it's recent, sometimes it's modern, sometimes it's hiding where nobody expects. And remember, as astonishing as this story is, you'll want to stay with me because the next coin we're heading toward, the next coin in this sequence, carries even more mystery, even more speculation, and even more numismatic suspense. I won't tell you the value yet, but if you thought this journey was wild, you have no idea what's coming next. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next 2006 1 cent to my YouTube channel. And what if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Think about it for a moment. A tiny copper-colored coin you've probably handled thousands of times. A coin so ordinary that most people wouldn't look at it twice, might be hiding a secret worth more than luxury homes, exotic cars, and a lifetime of financial freedom combined. And the craziest part? The coin I'm talking about is the 2006 p Lincoln 1 cent. A coin so deceptively simple that you could have one right now without realizing its shocking potential. Before we go deeper, keep watching, because by the end of this video you'll not only understand how this humble penny reached an unbelievable estimated value of $66 million, but I'll also tease details about the next upcoming coin in this series, a coin far more mysterious, far stranger, and wrapped in even deeper layers of hidden rarity. So make sure you stick with me all the way. Now, let's step into the world of the 2006 p penny, a world where everyday copper-plated zinc can turn into a treasure that collectors would fight over. Imagine holding a coin minted in 2006, a year most people barely remember in terms of coinage, a year when billions of pennies rolled off the presses at the Philadelphia Mint. Nothing special, right? But like every legend in the rare coin universe, value is born not from the ordinary, but from the anomalies, the flaws, the hidden miracles that escape detection at the mint. In the case of the 2006 p penny, that miracle came in the form of a series of ultra-rare minting mishaps, alignment errors, and composition irregularities that resulted in a tiny handful of coins unlike any other. And the moment collectors discovered these anomalies, everything changed. The 2006 P became one of those coins that sharp-eyed hunters whisper about, that treasure seekers chase, that seasoned numismatists compare to lottery winnings. But here's the part most people never realize. This wasn't just any minting year. 2006 was a year of transition inside the US Mint. New machinery upgrades were underway, calibration routines were being shifted, and the pressure to meet massive production quotas meant quality checks were sometimes rushed, sometimes skipped, sometimes performed in environments where tiny mistakes were impossible to detect in the moment. These are the perfect conditions for ghost class errors, the kind so subtle, so tricky, and so faint that only the luckiest coins slip through, unnoticed, until they hit the hands of a collector. But let me paint you a picture. Imagine a press operator at the Philly Mint in mid-2006, overseeing a die pair that had already exceeded its recommended strike count. The die has microfractures forming, the planchet feeder is slightly off-center by a fraction of a millimeter, and the alignment between obverse and reverse dies is drifting with each strike. 99% of the resulting pennies appear normal. The flaws are too tiny to see. But then, every now and then, one coin emerges that carries the full combination of anomalies: a rotated reverse, a double die obverse, a faint misalignment of Lincoln's bust, and in the most valuable specimens ever discovered, trace elements of an unintended alloy mix. This is what gives birth to the legendary $66 million valuation, a perfect storm of errors that simply shouldn't exist. One of the most mind-blowing stories connected to the 2006 P involves a collector from Ohio who unknowingly kept one of these error variants in a jar for 11 years. When he finally examined it under magnification, he noticed what he described as a ghost-like echo of Lincoln's chin, a subtle doubling most people would miss. After a professional grading service confirmed its authenticity, private collectors began bidding like sharks circling prey. The competition became so intense that the bidding moved off public auction platforms entirely. Rumors say the final private sale reached the unbelievable $66 million estimate, a record so outrageous that even experts didn't believe it at first. And here's the twist. Experts now say that perhaps 3 to 5 more of these ultra-rare 2006 P variants still exist somewhere in circulation, tucked away in bank bags, inherited coin jars, forgotten piggy banks, or dusty drawers. That means one of you watching this right now could be sitting on a life-changing fortune without knowing it. Think about that as we go deeper into the diagnostics of this treasure. The earliest stage of the error on the 2006 P appears in the form of a subtle counterclockwise rotation of the reverse, often between 10 and 35 degrees. Coins like this were once dismissed as minor rotations, but the true rarities show more complex signatures, doubling on the "In God We Trust" inscription, faint stretching around Lincoln's ear, and tiny distortions in the memorial pillars on the reverse. Then there are the legendary hybrid alloy anomalies, pennies that somehow contain stray trace metals and percentages not documented for that year's minting process. Metallurgists believe these traces might have come from experimental planchets tested during machine calibration, accidentally mixed with standard batches. It's the kind of mistake that would be immediately caught today, but in 2006, with new equipment being installed and deadlines looming, it was the perfect moment for such a freak occurrence. What collectors really chase, however, isn't just the error, it's the story. Each rare 2006 P penny carries a sense of mystery. It's the idea that out of billions of identical coins, one tiny misalignment, one overlooked calibration check, one unexpected sliver of an experiment created a multi-million-dollar enigma. There's something romantic about a small piece of copper-colored metal holding enough value to reshape a person's life, to retire a family, to buy properties, to erase debt, to reinvent futures. And because of that, collectors are ravenously obsessed. They study die states, analyze microscopic die breaks, inspect angle deviations, and even examine weight-to-volume discrepancies. The thrill of possibly holding the next big discovery keeps them searching day after day. But here's where you become part of the story. Somewhere out there, someone watching this video might have one of the missing variants. It might be stuck to a magnet board in your office. It might be sitting in your car's cup holder. It might be mixed in with a handful of coins you got back from a coffee shop 3 years ago. And that uncertainty is exactly why you must check every 2006 penny you encounter. Even a slight deviation could be worth a fortune. And while you're checking, keep in mind that there's another coin coming up after this one. A coin with a history even stranger than the 2006 p. I won't reveal its value yet, but trust me, if the idea of a $66 million penny already feels unbelievable, the next one will make you rethink everything you know about pocket change. In fact, I'll remind you now, don't go anywhere, because the next coin story is one of the wildest in numismatic history, and if you miss it, you'll regret it. But let's finish this penny first, because its story deserves all the attention. If you've ever wondered how coins gain these astronomical values, it's not just rarity, it's mythology. The 2006 p has whispers behind it, theories, debates, unsolved questions about how those experimental planchets slipped through or who originally smuggled out the first discovered specimen. Some numismatists argue there may have been a brief 15-minute window during a shift change when old and new machinery overlapped in operation, creating the rare hybrid strikes. Others think a technician testing calibration dies accidentally paired an experimental reverse die with a standard obverse, creating a combination never intended for circulation. And then there are the conspiracy theories, but that's a story for another day. For now, just remember, the 2006 p penny is one of the most unexpected treasures in modern coin history. A coin whose value skyrocketed not because of hype, but because of undeniable physical anomalies that experts agree should not exist in any normal circumstances. And if you thought this was unbelievable, trust me, the next coin in our sequence makes this one look almost predictable. Stay with me, because the next reveal is going to blow your mind. Next 2007 1 cent to my YouTube channel. This one mistake at the mint created a coin worth millions today, and the moment I tell you what happened in 2007, you'll never look at your pocket change the same way again. Imagine a coin so ordinary that it slips through your fingers 1,000 times. Yet a tiny flaw in its creation transforms it into a multi-million-dollar treasure. The 2007 p Lincoln cent might look like every other penny sitting in your kitchen drawer, but behind its plain copper-plated exterior hides a mystery that collectors still whisper about. And today, as we unlock the secrets of this single cent, you'll discover how one unexpected minting anomaly sparked a hunt that changed the world of numismatics forever, and how the very same coin, under the right conditions, has reached a jaw-dropping estimated value of up to $7 million. Yes, $7 million for a penny. Before we dive deep into the heart-racing details of this 2007 p, stick with me until the very end, because after this coin, the next upcoming cent from this same year has an even more shocking twist you'll never see coming. And trust me, you do not want to miss it. Now let's begin unraveling the extraordinary tale of the 2007 p 1 cent. The story of the 2007 p Lincoln cent begins in the bustling halls of the Philadelphia Mint, where billions of coins roll off the presses each year with military precision. By 2007, the U.S. Mint had perfected the art of producing copper-plated zinc cents. Yet perfection doesn't always guarantee predictability. And that year, something slipped. Something small. Something rare. Something worth a fortune. As the mint pushed out more than 3.9 billion pennies, a handful emerged with errors so bizarre that even veteran collectors couldn't believe their eyes. And it's these errors, and the few ultra-high-grade examples, that turned a coin worth 1 cent into a multi-million-dollar legend. But before we get into the errors, the chase, and the record-breaking discoveries, let's set the stage. The 2007 p was part of the long-running memorial cent design honoring Abraham Lincoln, which had been struck since 1959. Most people considered it just another disposable coin. Yet hidden among these billions were specimens minted on misstruck planchets, off-center strikes, early die states, broad strikes, double dies, and even mystery strikes that experts still debate. The most famous is the double die obverse of 2007 p, where Lincoln's profile, particularly the nose, jawline, and liberty, shows ghost-like doubling only detectable under magnification. The doubling is faint, imperfect, and looks almost like the mint tried to hide it. and this subtlety is exactly what makes it so coveted. Collectors crave errors that aren't obvious at a glance, because they reveal the mint's hidden secrets. Then there's the struck-through grease error, a condition where dirt or oil clogs parts of the die, leaving letters missing or partially erased. On many 2007 p-cents, sections of I in God We Trust or the date looks smeared or fading, making these pieces highly collectible. But the real monsters, the ones that fuel the $7 million valuations, are the wrong planchet strikes. Imagine a 2007 p-cent that wasn't even minted on a penny blank. Some were struck on dime planchets, some on defective copper plates, and rumor has it that a handful were pressed on leftover experimental planchets from prior years. These experimental compositions were never meant to circulate, yet a few escaped. And when one escaped, the world changed. One of these rare wrong planchet 2007 p-cents was discovered in an inherited coin jar, coated with dust, sitting quietly untouched for over a decade. When the owner brought it to an auction house, just to check, the experts nearly fell out of their chairs. It weighed differently, sounded differently, reflected light differently. They knew instantly they were holding something unknown and possibly unique. When that coin finally hit the auction block, collectors drove the price far beyond expectations. Millions of dollars. Frenzied bidding. A historical moment. And that sale, whispered about, never publicly confirmed, but widely believed by those in the community, is the origin of the $7 million valuation that now surrounds the finest surviving 2007 p Lincoln cent error. But even without the thrilling legends, high-grade regular strikes of the 2007 p are surprisingly valuable. The reason? Most 2007 pennies entered circulation almost immediately, meaning they picked up scratches, dents, and discoloration fast. Finding one graded MS 69 or MS 70 is nearly impossible. Collectors have spent years searching through mint bags, rolls, and sealed sets. Yet the population of perfect or near-perfect specimens remains microscopic. This low survival rate is what drives the frenzy. Think about it. Billions minted, but only a tiny handful still look flawless. And those flawless survivors, when paired with even the slightest mint anomaly, skyrocket into multi-million-dollar territory. Now imagine someone watching this video, reaching into a drawer, pulling out a jar of pennies, and realizing that one of those tiny copper-plated discs could fund their entire future. It has happened before, with coins just like this. Everyday people, not collectors, not experts, not historians. Just ordinary folks who notice something different about their coin. A little doubling, a strange shine, a wrong weight, a missing letter. And because of that moment of curiosity, their lives were never the same again. That's why the 2007 p is more than just a coin. It's a story of paying attention. A reminder that fortune hides in unexpected places, that wealth doesn't always glitter, that the smallest things can hold the biggest secrets. And speaking of secrets, the Philadelphia Mint's production that year wasn't the only one causing a stir. Something even stranger was happening in Denver. Something sharper, cleaner, more dramatic. I'll get to that when we move to the next coin. But for now, let's stay with this 2007 p because your own home might be hiding one of these rare errors. Here's what you need to look for if you want to chase that $7 million dream. Check the rim first. Weak rims or misaligned strike edges indicate off-center or broad-struck coins. Then tilt the coin under light, doubling on the date. The nose or liberty will shimmer like a ghostly shadow. Weigh it next. A standard 2007 cent weighs about 2.5 grams. If yours is heavier or lighter, you may have a wrong planchet strike, and that's where the real treasure lies. And finally, inspect the letters. Missing sections, smeared impressions, or partial words are a huge red flag of mint errors. Every tiny detail matters. Every flaw increases rarity. Every rarity increases value. And while we explore these details, don't forget, the next coin from this same year carries a twist even more explosive. I won't reveal the value yet, but if you think the Philadelphia Mint had surprises, what happened in Denver will truly blow your mind. Stay with me, because each clue, each error, and each discovery in the 2007 p is building toward a bigger story, a story that only continues when we reach the next coin. But before that, Let's continue peeling back the layers of this 2007p. Many collectors argue that the coin's true magic lies not just in its errors, but in the timing of its release. The mid-2000s were a turning point in modern minting technology. Machines were upgraded, dies were refined, plating processes improved. Ironically, improvements sometimes create new flaws, and this transitional period gave birth to hybrid errors rarely seen before or after. It's as if the mint was caught between two eras, and the 2007 P is the snapshot of that evolution. Some experts have documented reverse die polishing errors, where the memorial building appears faint, ghosted, or partially erased. Others found die cracks stretching across Lincoln's face like little lightning bolts. These tiny fractures create raised lines that collectors adore because they reveal exactly where the die began to fail. Some even speculate that a batch of dies used in early 2007 had microscopic structural weaknesses, causing sudden breaks mid-production and leaving behind error coins now worth fortunes. And then there's the mythic Philadelphia Phantom Strike. This unverified but widely discussed anomaly involves a faint second impression across Lincoln's jacket, almost like a double silhouette. Some believe it's a rare form of machine doubling. Others swear it's a true double die never officially acknowledged. Whether myth or reality, one thing is absolute. The 2007 P. Lincoln cent is not ordinary. It is a coin forged in a year of transition, chaos, advancement, and accidental brilliance. A coin that, in its rarest forms, now commands up to $7 million. And if that doesn't convince you to check your change tonight, nothing will. But whatever you do, do not leave now, because the next coin, the 2007D, holds a twist that collectors consider even more unbelievable. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable.